Today we are going to learn about two-step equations. The first thing that we need to do is isolate the variable. Then we are going to undo addition or subtraction with the inverse operation. And then we will undo multiplication or division by the variable. So the number by the variable is what we are undoing by performing the inverse operation. And then we need to check our answer. So we said the word undo because we have an equation and we want to undo what is in the equation. So I know we've heard of PEMDAS for solving orders of operations of expressions. Now that we have graduated from expressions to equations, we are going to do what we call SAD MEP. Anybody recognize that? That's right. It is PEMDAS backwards. So because we're undoing it, we are going to PEMDAS backwards and we get SAD-MEP. So let's try our first equation. So here we're going to draw a line, and then SAD-MEP says that we need to subtract or add first. So if I identify my operation, it is adding. So the inverse operation to that would be subtracting, and I subtract 6 from each side. 6 minus 6 is 0. And I bring down what I have left over, which is negative 12n equals 72. And then now I do the DM of SAD-MEP, which is divide or multiply. My operation is multiplication, so I'm going to do the inverse operation, which is division. I'm going to divide by negative 12, not just 12. That number is a negative 12, so I have to make sure I include that. Negative 12 divided by negative 12 is 1, and 1 times n is just n. And then over here, I'm going to do my wheel. I have a positive 72 and a negative 12, so that makes my answer negative. And then we should know that 72 divided by 12 is 6. And if we don't know, that's okay. I wrote down the wrong number.
Here's what I found.
Sorry, that was my Siri. 12 times 6. 6 times 2 is 12. And then 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So you just go off to the side and solve the operation. And our answer is n equals negative 6. Let's go to the next one. Remember, we have SAD-MEP. Okay, so we're going to draw a line through our equal sign first. And then our operation is addition, so we're going to subtract 5 on both sides. 5 minus 5 is 0. So I have x divided by 5 equals 15. Okay, so our operation here is division, and so I like to draw parentheses on both sides to show multiplication. I'm dividing by 5, which means I'm going to multiply 5 by 5 on each side. What this looks like over here, and the reason why this cancels out, maybe this will help us understand so we don't get so confused, is that when I have this, it's the same thing as if I were to go back to this problem right here, and we saw that negative 12 over negative 12 simplifies to 1. It's the same process here, but I don't have any room to put this 5 right here. So I write it off to the side inside this parentheses right here. But if I did have room, it would look like this, and then we could clearly see that 5 over 5 equals 1. And so I would cross these out, and that equals 1. And 1 times x is x equals 15 times 5, which is 75. Okay, so now we have models. Here looking at just this, what do we see? We see x's. And how many x's do we see? We see 6 of them. So we would write 6x for this. Okay, and then looking on the next one, we have 1s, and we have 5 of them. And those 5s are positive. So I have to have an operation right here. And it's a positive 5, so I'm going to write a positive 5. And then we see that that changes from 6x plus 5. And then I bring my equal sign down. And then I count these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And now I'm ready to solve. So I want you to press pause, solve it, and press play when you are finished. Okay, so you should have subtracted by 5 on each side. And then you should have divided by 6. We needed a mixed number. So you see my division over to the side. If you did not get that x equals 1 2/3, press pause again and check my work and see where you made your mistake. And then press play. I want you to write this equation and solve, and then press play when you have finished. Okay, so we had 2 x's, so I wrote 2x. Then we had 4 negatives, so I wrote -4. And then brought down the equal sign, and then I have 12 ones. I don't have to write a plus sign right here because it's by itself. The only reason why I would write that plus sign is if it was with another number. So I got x equals 8. Again, if you did not get this, press pause, check my work, see where you made your mistake, and then press play again. All right, so now we're going to write what we read. So here I have a 4, so I'm going to write a 4. Then I have times. How do I represent times? If you said x in your head, that is incorrect because we're working with variables now. So that's when we change our times to a dot. And then a number, that can be any number. So I'm going to put an N for number here. Plus 6 is, mathematically, is your equal sign. And then 46. So now I can write that as an equation. 4, and because I'm putting my variable next to a number, I don't need the dot. 4n plus 6 equals 46. And now I'm ready to solve. Draw my line and do the inverse operation, which if I'm adding 6, I need to subtract 6 from both sides. 6 minus 6 is 0. Bring down my 4n equals 40. And then I am multiplying 4 times n, so the inverse operation would be to divide 4 on both sides, and n equals 10. I'm going to write that off to the side so I can clearly see that and box my answer. So here we're going to graph, which is there's only one solution. So when we graph equations, we're just putting a dot on that actual solution, which in this case was 10. So I find 10 on the number line, and I place a good solid dot where the lines cross, not above it, not below it, not on the number, right where the two lines cross. Okay, we have one more, number 6. I want you to write it and solve it and graph it and press play when you have finished. All right, so I got x is 11. I got my equation is 6x minus 8 equals 58. Check your work, see if you got it, and make sure you make notes of any questions that you may have over today's lesson.